Hey guys, Nina Zappala, how are you? This is a place we talk about personality typing with a spiritual understanding. This week on the blog, I am exploring the ideas of listening, 3 ways to listen to better understand your true self. Listening is really, really important, especially in these days of great chaos and change, and people are just kind of jumping in. Are they really listening? Are they just repeating something? So I wanted to look at this a little bit deeper. And I started out by doing this I take meditative walks because I'm so hyper, so I walk. And as I walk, I am always intentional. I ask a question, right? And the question is, what is this loop-de-loop? Really strange here coming out of my ear. Okay, thank you. Anyway, and I was asking a question. I said, how can I become a deeper listener? How can I really listen to my spirit guides and hear what they're trying to tell me? I mean, it's so important that we get connected in this time, right? So I asked the question, and I'm walking, and I hear this laughter, right? And I'm like, what? And it was laughter. I mean, it was loud. It was boisterous. I was like, what the hell? And so I said, what the hell? What the hell's so funny? And my spirit guides came back to me and they said, Nina, you need to listen with both ears. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I started laughing, right? So I was like, okay. So I'm trying to really master the art of deep listening. And it is like anything in life. It is a practice. It's something I'm trying to become highly aware of and highly attuned with so I can really better understand my true self. Because when you don't listen and you just jump to conclusions because they're just so programmed in your head from old beliefs, old values, old habits, you're really not listening with great intention. You're not listening deeply. And you're certainly not listening from your true self. So I want to touch on a couple of these things that I touched about in the blog, but here on YouTube, I like to teach. I like to go a little bit further. Just because I feel it's a better place to teach. So of course, we're talking about personality typing. So we have perceiving traits. Perceiving traits allow us to receive, listen, and retrieve, right? So we can retrieve information, we can receive information. So it's listening and talking. But each personality type, and I've just generalized this because I don't really want to go into specifics here because personality typing is so different. And I believe each of your traits are a tapestry for you, coupled with your life stories and life experiences, and then your soul's purpose. Your personality trait becomes so genuine to who you are, your true self, right? So I don't really want to get very specific here. But I did go into some of the traits just very generalized. So I am generalizing here because I can't go into something specific, and I hate to generalize, but I just want to give you an idea, right? So there's two traits. There's a sensing and an intuitive traits. And both of these traits have a positive and negative charge. Now, it doesn't mean what that means is when the trait is healthy, you're coming from a very positive. That's where your gifts are. You're divinely in tune. And when the trait is unhealthy, it's more fear-based. And I'm going to talk about that as well. But let's just start right at the beginning and talk about your traits. So some of us have extroverted sensing, and some of us have extroverted intuition, right? And those are our perceiving traits. That's how we perceive, listen, communicate. So the traits are similar because they're both extroverted in nature. They're outwardly, okay? They like the novelty, right? But they're very different as far as how the traits receive and perceive information. So an extroverted sensor, they are a dynamic, fast-paced, be in the world, hands-on, active, want to go. And so their listening style is very similar to that. They are social beings, and they like social chit chat. They do like that, but they're quick to the response, right? They're like, dude, let's go. Because I got things to do, places to go, and people to meet. While an extroverted intuitive person kind of has that same flavor, but they are not chit-chatters. They do not like to chit-chat because they don't like little details. So there's part of that trait coming out, right? So they're going to want to, and they do like discussions. In fact, they are honestly, sometimes they even like to get into, let's say, lively discussions instead of arguments. Let's make it a little nicer. And I am that, so I know I do. I like to question, man. I am curious. I will drill down your ass so hard. And they're like, whoa, Nina, you need to back up. You're intense. And this is part of that. This is part of that trait, because they do like to have very deep theological, theorizing discussions. They like deep conversations. They want to get to the facts, and then they want to look beyond the facts, right? So that's a big difference in just in those two traits. And can you imagine piling on all your other personality traits with it? Yeah, it's so exciting. So then the other aspect of perceiving is we're going to talk about introverted sensing and introverted intuition. These two are very similar. These two are very contemplative. They're very reflective. A lot of times you will pause and think before you speak, unlike us extroverts who just spit stuff out, and that's just what we do. But introverts don't. Introvert thinking and sensing, they don't do that. It's not how they communicate. So a sensing trait, an introverted sensing trait, is very, very, very factual. They're very fact oriented. They like to take the facts from the past. They're history oriented. They're steeped in history. So they love that. They love what's happened in the past. And as you're talking to them, they'll relate their past experiences right into the conversation. So could you see how they could become a little infuriated with somebody that's talking theory? Because they don't live in a world of theory. They live in a very concrete world of facts, of history. Okay, so a very different style of conversation. And then an introverted, intuitive person, they, on the other hand, do like the facts, but again, they're going to go beyond. They're going to be reflective. They're extremely literal. So if you tell them 5 o'clock, they expect 5 o'clock, not 5 o'clock-ish. They'll go, what the hell is that? They won't even go there, right? Because they're literal. They're very literal. And they do a lot of research. They're in their head. They're thinking. They're thinking about the facts and thinking of theories and other possibilities and opportunities to wrap around those facts, to expand that, okay? So their style is very different as well. So that's just one trait for completely different styles on how you listen. So you need to be aware of your traits to better understand your true self. Period, right? And I'm writing a book, which I'm extremely excited about because I'm almost done. Yay! It's taking me long enough, believe me. And I go into discussing like how, when you're unhealthy, how your traits will lead to fears. And that I'm going to go into that right now. So fears often result when you're communicating with somebody. They show up as triggers. So somebody's triggering you, right? And a trigger, I say, is like a shadow self, a shadow aspect of yourself. There's a shame or guilt or pain or some kind of trauma attached to what they said. A word in there triggered you, something triggered you, right? So in that instance, fear is a great teacher because if something's triggering you, it's mirroring back to you what you need to learn about yourself. And if there's something you need to learn about yourself, which is great because that you're evolving your soul. So you're expanding your beautiful true self. So fears actually become something that's very positive for you. So when somebody's triggering you, and I'm not saying this is easy, but I'm trying to give you a different way to look at it So you don't just run from it, or you don't find fault with that person, or you don't think they're arrogant, or you don't dismiss them. That's not coming from intentional listening, and that's what I'm going to talk about next. Aren't you loving the flow of this one? But intentional listening is what I'm speaking of. When you come to somebody in discussion, I want you to try to start putting on your intentional listening hat. And this intentional listening always comes from your true self, from your higher self. It's divinely inspired. So when you're in a conversation with somebody, you give them the space to share their truths. You give them the space to share their different ideas, whatever they are. You allow them to fully express themselves without jumping in and judging, dismissing, or walking away, or criticizing. That's not your true self. That's not your true self at all. And that's not coming from divine, that's all coming from conditioned ego. And I will tell you my story because it was tough, right? I have I'm extroverted, I'm an extroverted intuitive, easy for me to say, right? But so that's that person that like, I love new ideas and patterns, and it allows me to take something from the everyday and create it into something, from something ordinary to something extraordinary. That's just one of my gifts, okay, for my personality type. But what happens is when my personality type is out of balance, and this trait is my dominant trait, so that's the first place you need to start looking when you're all rambled up in fear. The first place to look is your dominant trait. It holds so many answers, and it holds the answers, your fear answers too. So I want you to start looking there. That's a little tip. So what happened to me is, when my trait gets unhealthy, I'm so busy running and trying to get that new idea, those new possibilities, the new opportunities, that I don't take time to go into myself and shut myself down so I can start thinking through these things. So what happens when I'm in conversations, I kind of dismiss people, or typical, I'll start an argument, like, what do you mean by that? And I didn't really hear what they were saying because I'm thinking I already know it because of all the stuff that's in my head. I'm just ready for that new possibility. I'm ready for that new idea. And just dismissing somebody because you think you already know everything, a know-all-y, is not a healthy place. And that's not guided by your true self, because you're not hearing divinely inspired messages. You're not being heart-centered. Okay? So it matters a lot. Your personality has so much influence over how you show up in the world. It's just crazy how much. And I really want to teach people to help them step into their true self, your truth of who you are, your authentic self, whatever you want to call it, your genuine self. It's the person divine intelligence designed you to be. And he definitely, or she definitely, prescribed a specific personality for you to help you through the things in life that are going to challenge you, those shadow aspects of yourself. Your personality is divinely designed to help you overcome them. Because if we just keep those shadow selves buried within ourselves and we don't listen to them, the triggers that come up, the fears that come up about our shadow selves, we will never get to our true self. We live a very mundane, habitual, controlled, fearful life. There is no freedom in that. There is no real purpose in that. You can't have real purpose unless you know your true self. And if you're not listening to what fear is trying to help you get over, what are you doing? You got to sit in the fear. I know it sucks. It took me 7 years to get through all my stuff. I'm very stubborn. I think I can do everything by myself. Independence is one of my gifts, but it's also one of my weaknesses. Like, every gift has a negative charge to it. So every gift has a weakness. Every strength has a weakness. It's just how we're made. And fear is going to be with you every single day. It's in the everyday. And it might not be the big trauma, great pain and some of the things I went through, but it can be, low humming anxiety, horrific stress, overwhelmment. Those are fear. That's fear. That's low grade fear that's trying to get your attention before it becomes some trauma crap that I dealt with. All right? You kind of want to avert that. So if you can start stepping into the stress, the overwhelm, like I said, those are low functioning fears. You want to kind of catch it when it's there so you don't have to take it to the next step and get into that whole thing. Don't be like me. Learn from me. Learn from me. That's what I'm here for. I'm really here to teach this. And I'm really excited about it because it's so important to help you step into your true self. And don't you want to be your true self? Don't you want to be what divine intelligence designed you to be? To share your gifts in the world? Because I'm going to tell you, without your gifts, there's a missing link. It changes the tapestry of the universe without you. We all need your gifts. I need your gifts. You need my gifts. The neighbors down the street gifts. It doesn't matter because the whole world is connected. That's why I kind of call that a link. Because it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're in Africa or Afghanistan. God, praise those powerful women that are standing up. God, say prayers for them. They need us. They need our light energy. We all need each other. It's how the world functions. It's how God created the world. So, the first place to start is becoming a better listener so you can hear what the other person says so you can help them and support them, just like you want to be helped and supported. So in order to do that, you need to be a good, deep listener. Right? It's just how it works. So, hope you enjoy this. Hope you enjoy the blog. It is always my intention that these videos take you one step closer to understanding personality typing with a spiritual understanding so you can get on the road of your true self. I love you all. It's been a tough week for me. I hope it wasn't a tough week for everybody else. But I'm back. I feel better. I had to kind of shut myself down. See all my busyness. I had to go back into my personality type and go, Nina, you're overdoing it. You're not thinking. You're not thinking through things. You're too out. Right? So I had to shut myself down, and I did. Give yourself grace to do that if you need to do that. If you need to take a nap, you want to sit and read a good book, whatever you find some pleasure in. Listen to what your intuitions are telling you. I'm telling you, it's really powerful. Love you all. Bye for now. See you next Sunday. Share this with somebody. Subscribe on the bell if you want to share. Thank you all so much for becoming a part of this new personality paradigm. I want to share it with as many people as possible because I believe everybody needs to find their true self. And it can be found in personality typing with a spiritual understanding. Love you all.